Hi guys, welcome to your Grade 8 and Grade 9 analysis of the Prelude in preparation for your AQA English Literature Power and Conflict exam. This is notes obviously hitting the Grade 8 and the Grade 9, so have a pen ready. Before we write anything about the Prelude, we need to understand Wordsworth's views on nature. He was a romantic poet. He conceived and believed that nature was a living personality and that it was a divine spirit that lived within natural objects, i.e. the mountain. Secondly, Wordsworth believed that the company of nature was to give us joy, which is interesting because as the Prelude progresses, the speaker is haunted by the vision of the mountain and by the acceptance that man is in fact mortal. And then thirdly, and above all actually, perhaps most importantly, he emphasised the moral influence of nature, that it can teach us a moral value. And in this instance, it's that the speaker is not as arrogant or as powerful as he thinks he is. According to him as well, human beings should respect nature and should view it almost as I say, a teacher. This here is very interesting, and depending on different texts that you read, Rousseau believed in something called the blank slate, which is that we are born blank and what happens to us, nature versus nurture, influences who we become. So that's an interesting idea that Wordsworth himself believed in. So again, you've got to think about that based on the speaker. I'm going to move to language analysis now. And the first quote I'm going to take is troubled pleasure. Now, if you are after a grade 8 and a grade 9, then you need to analyse single words in detail and be judicious. If we look at the oxymoron, troubled pleasure, and that is in the first half of the poem, then actually what it does is it acts as an oxymoron, but it foreshadows the speaker's trouble and actually the speaker's impending doom in terms of he realises and acknowledges that he's going to die. If you want to go literally, and I try to get my students to do that and then take that further because that shows you that we understand the words being used, then literally you can see there that it's to disturb the mental calm. That's exactly what happens to the speaker when he goes from I have stolen the boat to the fact that there's a blank desertion and there's a darkness hanging. Okay? Again, at the beginning of the poem, we get adjectives like glittering and sparkling when he looks across the lake. And initially, nature's doing exactly what Wordsworth believes in, which is providing us with joy, and we get this positive portrayal of nature. And the fact that the lake is glittering, as you can see again, literally is something impressive. So he's impressed by what he sees. There's almost this atmosphere as well of something quite idyllic and, as Wordsworth believed, something calming. And again, you can couple glittering with idly in that section of the Prelude. If you've got it in front of you, it might help. Now, interestingly, idly means there's no purpose. Purpose of nature is just to be natural. It's to be peaceful. It doesn't, it doesn't react or react to us. Sorry. So actually, what that does then is foreshadows the notion that actually it's already beyond the realms of mankind. It's already beyond what we understand in terms of something that's everlasting. And again, idly glittering and sparkling, we've got this calm speaker sitting on a lake. If you've done semantic field before or lexical field, which is words all associated with the same topic, then as I said, you want to put them two together. Now what they serve to do is contrast with the darkness that is in the second half of the poem. Again, Wordsworth's given us two tones there, which change the vault of when, which we're going to come to in a moment. And actually what it does is sparkling it's a sense of something unavoidable and that's something that you can't miss. We can't miss the lake, but again, take that symbolically, you can't miss the peak of the mountain when it comes into shot. This is an interesting quote because my dealings with students is that I struggle to analyse it, and we get this metaphor of she was an elf and pinnace. Now his language is transcending something literal, and it's fanciful and it's fantastical, and we've passed the world of mankind and we've entered the world of fantasy. And again, it's that elevated idea that nature brings mankind joy, and you will have done the romantic poets, I would hope here, it's this romanticised over the top idea of something positive. Slowly but surely as the poem progresses, you're going to see that his language begins to change, and we get this one. The horizon's utmost boundary, far above was nothing but the stars and the grey sky. You want to be looking, I think, anyway, at the noun nothing, because it implies that there's an emptiness about the horizon, which we can then personify onto the speaker, because at the viewing of the mountain, he becomes empty in terms of realising the limit to his power. There's a notion of the sky and the horizon being everlasting there. They don't have a particular purpose, as we discussed before, but they're there. And actually, it's another interesting thing is that the guy who's stolen the boat takes them for granted. There's a contrast and there's a juxtaposition in nothing and heaving as well there. The fact that he's heaving across the water. Again, we've gone from something really peaceful to something laboured. If you're heaving, if you again go literally, and there's a lot there, so please pause the video where you need. Heaving can mean with great effort. So actually he's beginning to struggle now as he rows the boat. And again, position or difficulty in a certain direction. But then we've also got to breathe with effort. I actually think if you take those meanings, you've got the speaker is struggling to breathe. We've got a foreshadowing by Wordsworth of mass panic. And this idea that he's struggling. The struggle obviously is with the morality. The struggle is with what he's being taught by nature, which is the horrendous lesson that we will die. I've got more on heaving here as well, because again, you can go metaphorically there in terms of the meanings. It comes as well just before the Volta. If you haven't done Volta again, please check my other video, but basically it's your change in tone. Now, because heaving is placed before when, there's an indication that the poem is now changing to become pessimistic. Metaphorically, this idea that there's a burden on the speaker, something heavy is placed on the speaker now, and this horrible lesson that he's learning via nature. I've mentioned that again, check out my proper video on the Prelude if you want something more basic. But the Volta is when, and there's a comma after it, so it's highly emphasised that this is your change in tone. This is the moment when the speaker acknowledges death, but also when it indicates time. So I suppose we've got a difference in time here, before and after the viewing of the mountain. As I said, he's going to meet the limit to his power, and Wordsworth's semantic field now, lexical field, is going to become sinister. Just to keep in with the kids, the struggle is real. That's not a quote, but the language reflects struggle. We get heaving, we get steep, we get towered, we get trembling. Now, trembling's a good one because it's a physical reaction, the physical reaction of the speaker. He can't breathe, he can't think, he can't physically move the boat anymore, and this is going to continue. And what we've got is the clash now of the natural world and the world of man. Black, I don't think is judicious, but if you can be judicious in your explanation, then that is good enough. So adjective connotates death, simple. However, if you want to go further, since the Middle Ages, and again this is where we show off our analysis of language, it is symbolic of solemnity and authority. Now again, what you want to do there is, it's the mountain that is authoritative here, and the solemnity comes from the feeling of the speaker. So again, if you can get that in an answer, you really are showing off. I've picked up read its head as well. It's a line that always it's a line that always unsettles me. Personification of the mountain, straightforward. But again, we want to be thinking about the verb upbraid, to lift, to build, to erect, to elevate. Now, if you think about to elevate, the mountain isn't elevating, but it's elevated his sense of acceptance, his sense of achievement, the fact that the boat at the beginning is now gone, really. And the fact that upbraids sounds like it's moved, which it hasn't. So again, we've got this personification of the mountain, which was Wordsworth's point, that it can teach us things and it's something that has a personality. But it sounds out of place and actually almost animalistic. That leads us into voluntary power instinct. Again, grade 8, grade 9, we want to be looking at individual words. Instinct, something natural. Exactly what Wordsworth's saying, that obviously the mountain's natural, but when we get voluntary and power, so look at your words there, then again we see that nature is once again authoritative, it's commanding, it controls the speaker's thoughts, his actions, and actually even his breathing. I think Wordsworth's saying here that we do take nature for granted, but we can't possibly comprehend its power. To move to grim shape then, again a simple adjective in terms of grim, but can we go further with that? Well, of course you can. It's something sinister or ghastly. You could argue that it's got gothic connotations, and it comes from something more Gothic. So again, we've got this connotation of something pessimistic, something associated with death. But again, in terms of literal meaning, it's something fierce, savage or cruel. The cruelty being here is that all mankind are going to have to accept death, which again is a difficult lesson to learn. But our better writers are going to juxtapose that with the sparkling and the glittering of the lake. So the black and the grim mountain and the glittering lake, there's two images there that are highly conflicting with one another. And in terms of cruel idea, it's fine to ask the examiner a question, why not make them think? So I've just put on here, is the cruel idea death? Is it mankind's ignorance? Is it our mortality? Or is it our limits? Coy question in there, see what the examiner thinks when they're reading it. My favourite line from the poem, and I always tell mine to remember this, clear, easy metaphor, they hung a darkness. Again, hung. It sounds like it's lingering. It sounds like it's following him. If you want to go simple, then darkness is associated once again with something deadly. It links us back to black, which was our initial description of the mountain. But again, it's a haunting idea and a haunting theme of powerlessness. Again, if you want to just mention juxtaposition, then it's there. Dark and glittering, black and sparkling. Again, showing off the semantic field. We've had glittering and sparkling earlier, but now we get solitude and desertion. Blank desertion, guys, is a massive one that you can analyse. Blank links us to emptiness, which we had at the beginning with the horizon, but now it's the emptiness of the speaker. So we've gone from the emptiness of the horizon, which is almost mirrored onto the emptiness of the speaker. Solitude, we've got a huge theme of loneliness here, and the idyllic image of the guy in the boat at the beginning, peacefully rowing, becomes a lonely man who has accepted he's powerless, he's going to die. The mountain will outlast him. Nature is cyclical and will continue, and nature here has obviously taught a moral lesson. Trouble to my dreams links us to troubled pleasure, which was earlier, so we've got trouble twice. And it's a massive juxtaposition, because usually if I'm having a dream, usually about Beyonce or Newcastle United, it's not trouble to me or a worry. So we've got this juxtaposition, and actually what I think it does is it gives us a nightmare. It's a connotation of a nightmare. And remember what we already said is that Wordsworth believed that between man and nature there's a mutual understanding, a mutual consciousness. The fact that we're supposed to understand nature, but perhaps sometimes we don't. Again, if you need those notes there about the soul, then absolutely pause the video. I hope this was useful. Please check out any of my other videos if you are looking for success in English literature at AQA. But there's Romeo and Juliet, there's Macbeth, there's Power and Conflict. There's plenty there, there's over 200 videos. Massive good luck in your English literature exam.